The hospital was
Doctor
loud,
on duty, code blue and
very
triage staff.
loud.
Patient here coughing, been here
Phones
for
ringing,
hours.
people coughing, footsteps moving fast. But in one small corner, there was a silence. A heavy silence. An old man sat alone. He looked very small in the chair, very tired, very weak. His shirt was old, wrinkled, faded from many years of washing. His hands were shaking, not from fear, from age. He held a small paper tightly, like it was important, like it was the only thing he had. Behind the desk, a nurse stood typing fast on the computer. Her face showed stress, impatience. She did not look at him. "Sir, you need to speak louder. I cannot hear you." The old man lifted his head slowly. I have an appointment." The nurse sighed loudly, very loudly, so others could hear it. "Everyone here has an appointment. You are not special." A few people in the waiting area looked up, then looked away. No one wanted to get involved. The old man tried again. "My name is—" He coughed. His voice was dry. The nurse interrupted him. "Sir, I don't have all day. Please be faster." His fingers tightened around the paper. He nodded, like a child being scolded. A woman sitting nearby was watching. She was well dressed, calm, quiet. She did not say anything, but her eyes did not move from the old man. The nurse spoke again, louder this time. "Sir, if you cannot speak properly, how will we help you?" A man in the corner shook his head slowly, but he stayed silent. The old man looked confused, like he did not understand why this was happening. I am sorry." Those words came out very slowly, very painfully. The nurse rolled her eyes. "Sorry will not fix this. You must be clear." The old man tried to stand up. His legs trembled. The paper almost fell from his hand. He quickly grabbed it again, like it was precious. The woman watching leaned forward slightly. Her face changed. The old man finally reached the desk. He placed the paper on the counter with shaking fingers. The nurse glanced at it for half a second, then pushed it back toward him. "This is not the right form. You people never bring the correct papers." A few patients exchanged looks. The old man's lips trembled. I was told this is enough." "Well, it is not enough. You must go and fill the correct one." He looked around slowly, like he did not know where to go, like the room was spinning. "Where?" The nurse pointed carelessly to a far desk. "Over there, next counter." It was far for him, very far. He turned slowly, trying to walk. His steps were small, unsteady. The room felt colder. The woman watching could not sit still anymore, but she still said nothing. The old man stopped halfway. He looked tired, lost. He looked back at the nurse. She was already typing again, ignoring him, like he was invisible. He returned to his chair instead, sat down slowly, his head lowered, his shoulders bent forward, like life itself was heavy on him. Long pause. The woman stood up, very slowly. She looked at him with deep concern and took one quiet step in his direction. The woman walked toward him, slow steps, careful steps. She did not want to scare him. He was still looking down, at the floor, like he did not want to be seen. "Sir, are you all right?" He lifted his head with difficulty. His eyes were tired, cloudy with age, but gentle. "Yes, I am fine." He was not fine. Anyone could see that. The woman gave a small, kind smile. She sat in the empty chair beside him. Not too close, not too far, just enough to feel safe. "Can I help you with the form?" He looked at the paper in his hand. His fingers were still holding it tightly, like he was afraid someone would take it away. "I cannot see very well." "That's all right. I can read it for you." Across the room, the nurse noticed them. Her face tightened. She walked over quickly. "Ma'am, please return to your seat. Let us do our job." The woman looked up calmly. "I am only helping him read." The nurse crossed her arms. "He has to follow the process like everyone else." The old man looked between them, confused, uncomfortable, like he felt guilty for causing trouble. "I am sorry." He said it again. The woman's expression changed. She did not like hearing that word from him. "You do not need to say sorry." The nurse sighed. "Sir, if you cannot manage this alone, you should bring someone with you." Those words hung in the air, heavy. "I have no one." The woman felt something in her chest, a sudden tightness. She gently took the paper from his hand. He did not resist, but his other hand stayed closed, tightly closed, as if he was hiding something in his palm. The woman noticed this. She glanced at his hand. Old fingers, veins visible, holding on to something small, very small. She did not ask about it. Not yet. "What is your name, sir?" He opened his mouth to answer, but the nurse answered instead, impatiently. "It's written on the file. No need to ask him again." The woman looked at the nurse, then back at the old man. She chose to ignore the nurse. "I would like to hear it from you." The old man blinked slowly, like no one had asked him kindly in a long time. He whispered his name, very softly, almost lost in the noise of the room. The woman leaned closer to hear. Her face became serious, very serious. But she said nothing. She helped him start filling the form, letter by letter, slowly, patiently. The nurse watched from a distance, clearly annoyed. The old man looked less nervous now, less alone, but his closed hand never relaxed. He was still holding that small object tightly. The woman's eyes returned to it again, curious, concerned. Something about it felt important, very important. She took a slow breath and gently pointed to his hand. The woman looked at his closed hand, very gently, very carefully, like she was afraid to ask. "Sir, is your hand hurting?" The old man looked down at his fist, as if he forgot he was holding something. "Oh, no." His fingers slowly opened, very slowly. Inside his palm, a small object rested there, old, worn, faded by time. It was a hospital name tag. The plastic was scratched, the clip was bent, the letters were almost erased. The woman leaned closer. Her eyes narrowed. She tried to read it. The old man watched her quietly, like he did not know why it mattered. "I keep this with me, so I don't forget." The woman's breath became slower. Her face changed. Something moved behind her eyes, a memory trying to wake up. She turned the tag slightly, trying to catch the light. Some letters were still visible. Not all, just a few. Her fingers trembled very slightly. She looked at the old man, then back at the tag, again and again. The nurse noticed from the desk. She walked closer. "What is happening now?" The woman did not answer. She was still staring at the name tag. "Can you tell me his full name?" The nurse frowned. "It's on the file." "Please, tell me." The nurse rolled her eyes. She read the name carelessly, quickly, as if it meant nothing. But to the woman, it was not nothing. It was something deep. Her lips parted slightly. Her eyes did not blink. The room noise faded for her. Phones, voices, footsteps, all gone. Only the name remained in her mind. She whispered the name to herself. The old man looked at her with confusion. Do you know me?" She did not answer. She slowly sat down beside him again. Her expression was no longer calm. It was emotional, deeply emotional, like she was standing at the door of a memory from many years ago. She looked at the old name tag once more, held gently in her hand. And then her eyes filled with tears, but she did not let them fall. Not yet. She took a long breath and closed her eyes for a moment, as if preparing herself to remember. The past was calling her, very softly, very painfully. Many years ago. The hospital looked different. The walls were brighter. The lights felt warmer. And she was young, very young, a new nurse, nervous, unsure, holding her first file with shaking hands. She wanted to do everything right, but she was afraid of making mistakes. The corridors felt too long. The rooms felt too serious. On her first night shift, she cried in the storage room. Quiet tears, hidden tears. She thought she was not strong enough for this job. Then, a soft voice spoke behind her. "First days are always the hardest." She turned around quickly. A gentle older man stood there. Calm face, kind eyes, a senior staff member. He handed her a cup of tea. Her hands were still shaking when she took it. "You must never cry alone in a hospital. We heal people here. We must also heal each other." Those words stayed in her heart. From that night, he became her guide, her teacher. He showed her how to speak to elderly patients. "Old people are slow," he said, "but their stories are long." He taught her patience. He told her, never rush a weak voice. Days turned into weeks. She followed him everywhere, watching how he treated people. He never raised his voice, never showed anger, even on the busiest days. One night, an old woman refused her medicine. The young nurse tried to convince her, but failed. She felt frustrated. He stepped in quietly, sat beside the old woman, and just listened. For 10 minutes, without speaking. Then the old woman took the medicine herself. The young nurse was amazed. "How did you do that?" she asked. He smiled. She did not need medicine first. She needed to be heard. Years passed. She grew confident.
stronger, kinder. Because of him. He never took credit, never asked for thanks. He just worked quietly, helping everyone, especially the elderly. Then one day, he did not come to work. No message, no call. She waited. 1 day, 2 days, a week. She asked the hospital, but no one knew where he went. It was like he disappeared. She kept looking for him. For months, for years. Every elderly patient reminded her of him. Every quiet voice, every trembling hand. She remembered his words daily. Never rush a weak voice. She carried that lesson in her heart through all the years. She never forgot him. Never. Even when life became busy, even when time moved on, he stayed in her memory, like a light, a gentle light, guiding her every day at work. And now, sitting in this hospital again, holding that old name tag, that same feeling returned. Strong, painful, like the past was no longer far away.
The woman opened her eyes. She was back in the present, back in the noisy hospital. But her heart was still in the past. She looked at the old man beside her. His head was slightly lowered, his breathing slow. He looked tired, very tired. She looked at the name tag again, then at his face. Her lips trembled. She whispered the name, this time clearly. The old man's eyes lifted. Slowly, he looked at her, not with confusion now, but with effort, like he was trying to see her through many years. "Do you remember me?" Her voice broke. The nurse, standing nearby, watched silently. The waiting room had grown quiet. People were listening now. The old man blinked. He studied her face. Long, careful. Then, his eyes widened slightly. A soft breath left his lips. Weakly, "You were the young nurse?" Tears filled her eyes. She nodded quickly. "Yes, yes." Her voice was shaking. "You taught me how to care for people. You taught me patience. You told me never to rush a weak voice." The nurse at the desk froze. Her face lost color. She remembered her own words from earlier. The old man's lips trembled into a faint smile. "I'm glad you remembered." She gently held his hand now. No hesitation, no fear. "I looked for you for years. No one knew where you went." He looked down. Life became very small. The room was completely silent. Even the nurse could not speak. The woman turned slowly toward her, not with anger, but with pain, deep pain. "This is the man who taught me how to be a nurse." The nurse's eyes filled with regret. She looked at the old man differently now, not as a burden, but as someone important, someone worthy of respect. The old man squeezed the woman's hand very lightly, like he was proud, like a teacher seeing his student after many years. And in that moment, everything became clear. No one in the waiting room spoke. The noise from before felt far away now, very far. The woman still held his hand, gently, respectfully, like he was something precious. The nurse walked closer, slow steps. Her face was no longer irritated.
It was filled with shame. I am very sorry, sir." Her voice was quiet, very different from before. The old man looked at her, not with anger, only with tired kindness. He gave a small nod, forgiveness without words. The woman adjusted his seat, brought him water, stayed beside him. This time, he was not alone. "You once told me that old people are slow, but their stories are long." He smiled faintly. Yes. Tears rolled down her cheeks now. She did not hide them. "Today, your story reached me again." The nurse returned with the correct form. She filled it herself, carefully, patiently, like she had learned something important, very important. Other patients watched quietly, some with moist eyes. Years had changed the old man's body, but not the goodness inside him. The woman looked at him with deep gratitude. "You never knew how many lives you changed." He looked surprised, like he never thought about that. Very softly, "I only did my duty." She shook her head gently. "No, you did much more than that." The doctor finally called his name, but this time the woman helped him stand. The nurse held the door open, respectfully, very respectfully. And as he walked forward slowly, no one saw a weak old man anymore. They saw a teacher, a guide, a quiet hero. Sometimes we forget that the people in front of us have lived entire lifetimes before this moment. Sometimes a little patience is all someone needs. Have you ever rushed someone without knowing their story? If this story touched your heart, please consider subscribing so more hearts can be reminded to be kind.